there YouTube land, and welcome back to the Small Workshop Adventures. It's in between Christmas and I'm in my workshop. Well, why not? I'm sure you are. Doing some stuff, pottering around, and enjoying my festive presents. What Father Christmas, what Santa brought for me. I hope Santa was good to you, and I'm sure he was. Anyway, I'm waffling a bit around Christmas, but I often do about all sorts of things, don't I? If you're new to the channel, please click the like button and subscribe. It's really appreciated. So, another tool review. I drop them in every so often, don't I? Or something about. This is a tool review. This is a repurchase, but I've not reviewed it on my channel. And what I'm reviewing is a Trend 1/4 inch 850 watt router. So here we have. Now, I've been using one of these for a while. I've had one for quite a long time, but I needed to get another one, which may be foolhardy. Ooh, or maybe not. I happen to like these, and Trend as for router technology and using as routers, Trend are generally really good. What's happened is my old one, which I've had for quite a long time, where you push the lock down to lock the chuck so you can change the router bits, it's sort of worn away and it doesn't hold it anymore, so it's really difficult to actually change the router bits, and causing me a bit of a problem. So I looked online, and 40% off right now. So maybe if I can get this video out actually, and not actually, like most of my videos have a lead time of about nearly a month before I actually put them out. So I'm usually around about a month, 3 weeks behind of actually when I actually did the video to when they actually come out. Maybe I need to get this out early, because there is a 40% off at Toolstation. So if you have a Toolstation nearby to you, in the UK anyway, that's UK prices. I have no idea what it's like anywhere else in the world, but at the moment 40%, it's £59.99. Well, that's a bargain. That really is what you call a bargain, isn't it? And these are brilliant routers. Now, maybe because I've had a part eventually fail on me on my other old one, maybe I should have gone for something different. But I do like these, so I'm willing to trust it. If it goes after a number of years and it starts playing up again, then maybe that's a fault with it, and maybe I need to move away from Trend. But yeah, so who knows? Anyway, let's get on with it and let's have a look at the Trend router. Right, here's a really good look at the front cover, so to speak. There we go, the T4 850 watt router, Trend, and it shows you all the various components that you get with it. You get a side fence, and your guide bush, your hex key, and your spanners, your collets, your different collets for 6 and 8 mil, and it just shows you there what it is. It's 2.8 kilograms in weight. And so forth. It's a 1/4 inch router, so if you're using router bits, get the 1/4 and not the half. Now this one is a 1/4, and I mainly use 1/4 because they're just so much easier to use. You can basically use it one-handed, if you're confident with a router. So there we go. We're going to open her up, have a look at her, and see how she gets on. So let's get into it. It's nothing like opening a new tool, is there? Even if it's one you know relatively well. Let's take that off. What have we got going on here? Not really going to keep this, am I? There we go. That comes away nicely. And it's also got on the back removable base. So there you go, spindle lock. That's the bit that actually has failed on the other one, the spindle lock. But we shall see. Opening her up, look at that, lovely and new, nice new plug, and we can see what comes in the box as we get it. So it's fairly straightforward looking around the box. nice little nice trend 1/4 inch router. You can see there's your collet, your different collets, another one here, another collet there which we will need to put on, and we have just taken the router out a minute. We've got that is for your waste, so when you need to you can put get rid of the waste a little bit easier when you're routering. Your extraction fitments, and you've got a fence here which sits there nicely, so we've got a nice little fence. So let's have a look at all the bits. So just looking around it and looking over it, a general overview, we have your power, so switching on, down is on, and then all you got to do is press it and it will come back. So it's a really quick, easy stop. So if you want to stop something, you can actually turn it off quite quickly, which is a really good safety feature on Trend, because you haven't got to pull it back up, you just touch it. So that is quite a good thing, and I've always appreciated that, because you often want to stop something quickly and you don't need to be fiddling around trying to pull it backwards and forwards. It's a good little thing. It just needs the deftest of touches. There we go. So that's your switch. You've got your spindle lock here, and if I turn that round, because I'm right-handed, so this is what had gone on there. So it comes with a couple of spanners. Here's one of them, as you'll see. And to put your router bit in, you just put your router in there and you tighten it up. So that way's tightening, and we're going to loosen it. We're going to come that way, and then once it's tight, then you do it. It's as simple as that, really, when you're changing a router bit. And I'm now need to get a router bit just to show you. So we've got just a little router bit there. Be careful when you're changing your router bits, because these are sharp. They're meant to be sharp. So it's just a case of locking that down, putting your router bit in, and tighten her up. Now that should be nice and tight. And then to loosen, hopefully it's going to be better, you move that round till you lock it in again. Your spindle lock is in. There she goes. And that's nice and solid. My life is easy again. So there we go, we got it locked in. Now we've got a depth stop here, which sometimes you'll use, sometimes you won't, but that means you can then move this around to various different heights, so you can see that. So we can bring that round. We've got different settings there. I actually don't use the depth stop very often, but it's a very handy feature if you're going to be doing something the same and you're going to be particularly plunge cutting. So it does come in handy. To adjust the base, so with the plate, you come around here and you'll see it's on the back here. So now that is there, and you can now, if I come from a different angle, so you can see that while this lever which sets it up is up, I can move that up and down to set the depth. Now it's set also. No, it's just because it's hitting the floor. But as you see, look, once I pull that one down, it's set. It's not going to move. Now, obviously, at that depth, it's not going to cut anything. But you get the idea that if you were to put that on, let's put it on a piece of timber. And we'll bring that, and we want to bring that cut into play. Now, we've dropped that down to about there. All you do is you pull that, set that, nice and tight, and as you can see underneath, your router is there. It's a guided router bit, because it's got this for guided, so you don't need to have a fence when you're routering. If you've got these on your router bit, you don't need a fence. It does it for you. So, and then you can put that in and go in quite nicely. So that essentially is set to be used just as a standard router. We've got a couple of guide bushes, which primarily you use these if you're using a jig or a template. You would use one of these if you're doing some dovetails. If you're using a dovetail jig, you'd also use a guide bush as well. Or maybe you would be doing, particularly if you were routering out maybe worktops as well, so you'd use a worktop jig. So you'd use one of these. So these guide bushes, they're fairly straightforward. You put them on, and they act as a fence. So then as a guide, basically, they are what they say, they're a guide bush. We've got these little grub screws with an Allen key, and I don't want to cross thread it, but there we go. You just basically put them in there and you use that, but you'd only use these if really, I'm trying to think of other uses that you would use them for, but primarily you use a guide bush for when you've got a jig and you're following a jig, and it just gives that precision. You've got a little Allen key to do them up, and we've got a little one there. And you just tighten it up, goes below the fence, tighten that one up, and your router bit gets put in there in the middle, and it's used. But you would be using an appropriate router bit, not one like this. This is the wrong router bit to be using with a guide bush, but you'd be using one that would be sitting inside there, and then that would run round your fence, or your template, or your jig, whatever you're using. So you'd have a more in the way of, let me just get a different router bit. So this one, you could work with it. You could work with this. That's a dovetail. So if you were doing dovetail joints on a jig, there is as you can see, it is a dovetail router bit, and you put that in, and then you run round, and you run round using your collet. Not your collet, your guide bush. So that would be what you would use these for. In general, free routering, or using with, we're just going to look at the fence, I wouldn't use that, because these get in the way and you actually can't do what you want to do with it. So let's go to the next bit. The fence does what it says, doesn't it? Now when you get this brand new, you've got to tighten these up, because these are quite loose. So I've just put the Allen key, used the Allen key and tightened these up, so they're nice, and you don't want them flapping around. And it's pretty straightforward, really. You just put your fence in, and they slide through, and then you're able to just tighten it up in the right places. So for example, depending on where you want to put your router, so we're going to router on this bit of timber, for example, and we want it about there. We've measured, we've done all the measuring, and then you just tighten up these little thumb screws, tighten your fence, and you've got 3 of them. You can see there around the other side, you've got 3 that you just tighten up to secure the fence, and we get that nice and tight. There she is, nice and tight, and she is now set, because that we've decided for this piece of work that we're doing that we want to put a groove down the middle here. So we're just going to put a little router piece in there, a router bit in, and we're just going to run a groove down using the fence. So I've set up my test little bit of timber, I've got my fence set, and I've decided I want to put a nice little groove that's running down the centre of this timber. So nice and straightforward, just start her up against the fence. And as you can see, I've just created a nice little groove. Nice little feature there that is really decorative. So now I've swapped out, put another router bit in there. You can see that it's got the guide on the router bit. It is switched off. I have the power off. Always turn the power off before you ever get to taking out your router bits. Always turn your power off. So what we're going to do now is we've got that set, a nice little thing, and I'm just going to put a nice little mould. And just how easy that was, we've just made a nice little mould around the edge of a timber, and that is the difference between, well, that's professional. And when you can do things like that, people go, oh, and it's actually not that difficult. But it just shows you and it's really light and easy. And you can see down there, now I've just done that, this is just a test piece, just doing a little bit of routering around there, but you can see how that works, nice and straightforward. As you can see, I'm one hand, I'm holding that, and you can operate it one-handed. it's actually quite straightforward. You can hold, there's various places to hold it. These are brilliant, these little handles on the side for guiding it, whether you're using two-handed because you've got a fixed piece, which I've just had it fixed in there in the vise, or whether you're one-handed. It's actually really maneuverable and lightweight. Now, it's not literally a palm router. You can get some smaller ones. That's not what I'm reviewing here. This is the Trend 1/4 inch T, what is it, 850, isn't it? But a nice bit of kit. I thoroughly recommend them, and I've been using one of these before. I have an older one, so I've gone and bought another one, so they must be all right, mustn't they? Not that I'm the authority on router technology and routing, but you may, if you want to check out, there's lots of stuff. I actually use these for lots of things and lots of detailed work, and I use this is the machine I use when I'm doing like writing and carving into all sorts of details into pieces of timber. Great bit of kit. I'm really pleased with them. So what more is there to say? It's a router and the Trend. And Trend is a make that you can trust. So in conclusion, do I recommend the Trend T4? Yes, I do. The 850 watt router, Trend T4, the 1/4 inch. Yes, I do. It's a brilliant bit of something to have, and it's surprising how much you can, how much use you can actually turn it to. It's about just being confident. I know some people are just not confident with a router and a little bit afraid of them, but just be gentle, just be kind to yourself, and get one of these. And at $59.99, it's not breaking the bank, is it, in the world of tools. Brilliant bit of kit. And it's Trend, and Trend are one of the world leaders in routers. So yes, there are other brands, there are other companies that do router stuff, but I've used Trend for many years, and they have the bigger routers and they have all sorts of stuff, but as a little handheld one, a 1/4 inch, brilliant. So thanks for watching. This has been a tool review at the Small Workshop Adventures. So if you're new to the channel, please click the like button and subscribe. Really appreciated. So from me, Mark, at the Small Workshop Adventures, take care everybody. Bye.